lot of news. So we got news. We're not going to go in any specific order today. Just going to kind of fly around the league here. Let's start with Joe Burrow. So dealing with the calf strain, read some reports, Tom. I'll let you get into it here. Apparently looks good. I've seen that, but is this correct? Hasn't practiced in a while, right? It's been close to a month since he's practiced. I saw July 27th. Tell us about Joe Burrow. What's going on here?
He looks really, really good. We saw a glimpse of it a week ago when they had a preseason game. He didn't play in, but he was warming up. And the things that I was specifically looking for, so this is his right leg, right calf injury, meaning it's the leg that he creates all his force from when he goes to throw the ball. So it's not just an issue with running. It's for a right-handed quarterback, a right-handed calf injury is going to be a potentially throwing issue too. But we could see him, it looked like he was throwing 30, 35 yards in warmups, and this was now over a week ago. And the specific things I was looking for is he pushing off that back leg well? Yes, he was. Was he loading through that leg? What I mean by that is his foot bending as he winds up, and his foot and ankle was bending appropriately. That's going to stretch the calf and really load the calf muscle. The calf works almost like a elastic spring, so it stretches and then recoils to create force. Everything checked out just fine. We saw some glimpses of him jogging too. This tells us that he's progressing tremendously. I have very low concern for him being available week 1 and producing at full capacity. Initially, when his injury happened, I was a little concerned that he might not have his full throw power for a couple weeks, but I think he's going to be there now. He seems like he's progressing much faster than we thought. Now, he will have a slight increased recurrence risk. We know that calf injuries, about a 14 to 16% recurrence in athletes. That's going to be lower for a pocket passer, though. And if he was Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, I'd be a little more concerned. But at this point, I think you can draft him where you were planning on drafting him pre-injury.
Totally with you. I share your very little concern for Joe Burrow. Do you think, I don't even think it's worth it, but you think he gets in a preseason game? He's a guy that doesn't need it, but you think he would be able to? You said he'll be good for week 1.
Would he be able to? Yeah, but will they? No, I don't think they will.
Okay. Yeah, precaution. And I'm with you. And I remember, Tom, when was he hurt? Got hurt like a month ago, a little over a month ago. It's been whatever. It's been
about 3 weeks or so, probably.
A decent amount of time. I remember when news first came out, and I immediately in my head, I was like, okay, now Jamar Chase is like end of the first, like sliding these guys. But Tom, you just gave a perfect update. He looks like he's going to be okay for the start of the season. And I think if any of your league mates, I know, Tom, you got a big draft coming up on Monday, your league mates or anybody's league mates, if they're willing to give you a discount on any piece of this Bengals offense because Joe Burrow hasn't practiced, I think you take it. You rush to it like it's a sale, like it's a Black Friday sale with a big smile on your face. Like if anybody's willing to let Burrow slide or, Chase or Higgins or Mixon, I think you take it. You're not worried, Tom. I'm not worried. Listen, Joe Burrow led the league. Pretty interesting statistics. He led the league last year in on-target percentage. Guy throws dots, man. Doesn't even need to be mobile, right? Did that for the last 2 seasons. Finished second last year in completion percentage. He's also in his 4th year now. So if this is a guy, Burrow, right? We talked about this. If this is his first year, second year, I'm worried that he's not going through the practices, and I'm worried that he's not, getting exposure in preseason. 4th year now. Last 2 years, man, his numbers are crazy. Or last 2 years, through 34 and 35 touchdowns. He could go this year, guys, 4,800 yards for 40 touchdowns. He could be a top 3-4 quarterback. I think it's pretty fair where you draft him. And one of the last things here, Tom, why I could see improvement is 27. I didn't know this. Burrow throws a lot around the line of scrimmage. Burrow last year, man, 27th in ADOT, or average depth of, that's, I guess, target for receivers, but average depth of how far you're throwing the ball off the line of scrimmage. If they open this up a little bit, he takes a little bit more risks, right? His numbers can go up. And last year, our big concern for Burrow and the Bengals was their offensive line. They came in last year, the Bengals, 28th offensive line. Now they're up to 17 on PFF, both preseason rankings, right? Added Orlando Brown at left tackle, phenomenal pass blocker. That's going to help on their blind side. Plus, they added Irv Smith, more explosive than Hurst, I think. Sky's the limit this year for Joey B, man. If you're not worried about him from medical perspective, Tom, I'm all in. And if anybody gives you discounts, I think you take them. Next up, guy going a lot later, So we've got Treylon Burks of the Tennessee Titans, a sprained LCL, and looks like he's going to miss a few weeks. He was already going pretty cheap. Now he's just going to go cheaper. But what do you think about Treylon Burks for the upcoming season, Tom?
This is an odd injury to have in isolation. We usually see it with the ACL tear. That's typically when we hear about the LCLs with the ACL. So it's very odd that it's by itself. I would expect him to be near ready to go week 1, but maybe he'll come back week 2 or 3. And I would expect a week or 2 of kind of getting things back together. But if we're thinking the full season, if his ADP is sliding, then you're getting him at a bargain now, because I don't really think this is going to negatively impact his long-term outlook. Again, this is such a hard tissue to injure on itself that he's going to have some very unique way that he lands or gets hit to aggravate it without an event that would be enough to also injure an ACL, if that makes sense. So basically what I'm saying is,
sorry to interrupt you, Tom. This is the LCL is usually one that it like you usually see like ACL, MCL, LCL. Like that's you. So does this might be a silly question, but does injuring this put you more make you more likely to hurt your ACL, MCL? Are they related at all? I don't know if that's a silly question or not, but
it's not a silly question. It's not a silly question. To some degree, yeah, but I think if he would have returned and played right away, then yeah. But we got to keep in mind the ACL is the primary passive stabilizer of the knee. So you can have deficiencies elsewhere, and as long as the ACL is intact, yeah, there's some increased risk for an ACL tear, but it's not like massive increased risk. Whereas if the ACL was gone, there goes the primary passive stability of the knee. So every other tissue in the knee is now at way elevated risk of getting injured, more so than it being in the reverse. So I'm not super concerned about his long-term health here, or even this season health outside of the first couple weeks of the season. But once he's back, I don't expect a dramatic re-injury, re-aggravation, elevation. So if you can get him at a discount because of this, I think that's a sneaky play.
Already going to be discounted because he plays for the Titans, but they should further add to that discount. He's a guy, him and the next guy are guys that I'm having a hard time deciding on. Hopkins here now, so should take some attention away from him, but a run-heavy offense, still going to run Derrick Henry into the damn ground. Has the draft capital, though. He was picked, I think he was picked 17th or 18th overall last season. Like, he has the draft capital. It's just so weird when you sit. It's actually perfect for the next player, Terry McLaurin, too. Like, you look at just amazing, like, NFL talents, and then are they relevant or is it worth it in fantasy? And Burks and McLaurin are guys that I think are special talents, but it just might not warrant a draft pick for me unless I'm seeing him really, really late. I mean, he could have a high percentage of his team targets, but when your team is a run-heavy team, that number is already going to be down. I just don't see the huge upside. I don't know. I see he's a second-year guy. I see some other second-year guys with some upside that I really like, or some rookies in that spot. But if you could get him real, real cheap, again, you got to look at everything it costs. I'm kind of with you, Tom. You said what, maybe back like 2 or 3 weeks? You said he should be full health, you think?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be too long into the season. And he's a guy that you draft. You're not drafting him to start week 1 anyway.
Fair enough. Okay.